let's briefly talk about some other projects you've been involved in that people will be mad at if I don't ask you. Um, One Calls the Heart is maybe the biggest one. Why do you I forget how many seasons it's what season you're in? You can tell us that. Why do you
Yes.
think that has continued to resonate with audiences, Brian?
Well, thank you for asking. We just uh, wrapped season 13 in terms of having it air on the Hallmark channel, and we are now prepping season 14. And we're in the middle of airing our prequel, which is called Hope Valley 1874, which is sort of an origins story about how When Calls the Heart happened in the first place. Um, and there's also a spin-off series called When Hope Calls, which is now airing season 3. Uh, so, you know, I think the secret sauce here, Michael, is when Michael and I first gave birth to this, as you know, as writers and producers. Um, Michael Landon Jr., I should say. I sometimes speak in shorthand there, but Michael Landon Jr. and I, gave birth to this show uh, almost coming on 15 years ago when it started. Um, we were just trying to make a show that would be kind of a legacy kind of a show that would have the kind of the faith and family values that Michael's father had when he did Little House on the Prairie and Highway to Heaven, and like I did when I did the show Touched by an Angel. Um, in the years since the end of Little House on the Prairie and Touched by an Angel, there was a whole decade or so in which everybody went dark in terms of the content. Like it was like hope and faith and love and all of those things on television sort of fell off the cliff, and everybody went into cynical kinds of content. Crooked politicians and crystal meth dealers and zombies and vampires. I mean, like everywhere you turn. And very few people were doing any kind of programming like Little House on the Prairie or like Touched by an Angel in that whole decade. And so when Michael and I gave birth to When Calls the Heart all those years ago, we were just trying to kind of get back to that kind of programming. We didn't know if it would be successful. We were just trying to make a good show that reflected our values. And boy, did it take off. And it was on the Hallmark channel, which is, cable television. It was on it wasn't on one of the big networks. So we didn't know if people would even find us amid all the other noise out there in the culture. When there's 1,000 shows on television, how do you break through with your content? There's just so much competition for people's hearts and minds and eyeballs. And so we didn't know if it would be successful or not, but there was a group of people out there that found the show and started to fall in love with it, and they were noisy. They called themselves Hearties. We didn't invent the Hearties. They invented themselves. And they are Trekkies on steroids. I got to tell you. They're not wearing the tinfoil hats and all the costumes. What they are doing is they're having community around our show. And they're making friendships. And the legacy of When Calls the Heart will live, the legacy of the Hearties will live on long past When Calls the Heart. Someday it will end. But I believe all of that community that has been formed around our show, and we believe there are about 2 million people who self-identify now as Hearties. It was a completely grassroots movement. We never saw it coming, but it came, right? And when it came, we were just smart enough to start talking back to them. Like we communicated back to them, and that sort of fueled even more growth of this fan movement. And they are the wind beneath our wings. This show is the top rated scripted show on Sunday nights on cable television for several years now. And our numbers are continuing to stay strong even this deep into the run of the show, which is, most shows begin to fall off a little bit, but ours has stayed very strong because people have fallen in love with Hope Valley and the sense of community that the show brings to them, and the themes of redemption and forgiveness and second chances and all of that. which the show is rife with. Um, just what we believe, like that's what we want to do. It's that kind of content. And I think people have sensed our authenticity about this kind of content, and they were hungry for it. If a whole decade happens of cynicism on television, and you come along with a little show that has not 1 ounce of cynicism, not a cynical bone in its body, it's food. And when you find an island full of starving people and you bring food to them, they will love you. It's not more complicated than that. that's the equation that we discovered with that. And so it's very humbling to us. It is a beautiful thing to us that we have given birth to this, and that it is continuing to stay strong and to lift people up. It has also allowed Michael and I to get dangerous and to do other things, right? You know, we have this beautiful sort of platform that has allowed us to, move off and try new things. And so the story of everything is one of those things that I've been able to, throw my passion into. And there are several more of them as well that we're working on.
This might be my final question for you, Brian. What determines how long such a series goes? Is it all about ratings? Is it all about the energy level of the cast and crew? Is it all of those things put together?
Yes, I think it is all of those things put together. I think if the ratings stay significantly strong, all the paradigms are shifting now. So just linear channel, the Hallmark channel is a linear broadcast channel that is an ad-supported, channel that just like the big networks are. That's linear television, but now there's the streaming side of the equation, the subscription video on demand side, which is represented by platforms like Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and Hallmark Plus, which is Hallmark's streaming service. Now when shows are seen, they're being seen on multiple platforms all the time now. So the Nielsen ratings are only a piece of the puzzle anymore. If you're driving subscriptions to other platforms, that's a whole nother piece of the equation. So I do think that there is an evergreen quality to a show like When Calls the Heart. It's not going to age, right? It's already a period piece, so it's not going to date itself. And we now have over 150 episodes of this show, right? And so it's a block of programming that I think people will continue to watch. Even when we stop making original episodes, it'll be seen for generations, just like Little House on the Prairie is seen still today, 50 years after it was born. So I do think that we're not slowing down. Nobody's talking about how do we wind this up. The Hallmark Channel has been an incredible partner and patron in this, to the degree that we just launched a prequel that is doing really well for them on their subscription service that they're extremely happy with. So the storytelling universe of Jeanette Oak and When Calls the Heart, it's not Marvel, it's not Taylor Sheridan by any means, but it is its own little ecosystem that continues to fire on a lot of cylinders. And so our attitude is we will make this until the cows come home, until they tell us they don't want it anymore.